That's right. Stephen Brundage was one of the acts who made it to the semifinals in last year's America's Got Talent. Stephen, welcome.
Hey, Stephen. Good morning.
So the Rubik's Cube, why did you choose the cube to make your magic?
I always loved it as a kid, and I did magic, and I kind of put them together 5 years ago, and it kind of just took off from there.
All right.
So,
okay.
So how are you going to wow us here?
We're going to try a couple different things. We're going to start, Tamron, we have this blindfold. That is for you.
Oh.
Don't put it on yet. It's a different type of show, so just
Don't you say a word out loud.
There, so you're going to help me out.
Say a word.
We have this cube here. I want you just to give it a couple quick turns, and I'm going to do a warm-up one to see if you guys would catch on.
Okay.
See how smart you guys are. I think you're going to get this one. So we're going to start with Darius's mixed-up Rubik's Cube into the bag.
Okay.
Is there another one in there?
See, that's a thing. So you caught on. There's actually another Rubik's Cube in the bag. That's not the trick, though. We're going to try it out. Can you actually cover up your cube, but don't turn it? Cover up the cube. What if I told you I found a different solution to the Rubik's Cube?
Okay.
Watch close.
Ooh, you're fast.
Right there. See, the different solution isn't to solve it. It's actually to match the Rubik's Cube that you actually just mixed up.
No.
See, take a look at that. If I did match it, you guys should notice we're going to have one side that's going to be a completely perfect match. Better than that, that's going to be side number 2.
No.
That is side number 3. That is 4. That is 5. That is all 6 sides a completely perfect match.
That's crazy.
Were you in your room alone a lot?
Oh, yeah, it's way too much.
How'd you do that?
Not anymore, though. So I'm doing it right here. Right? It's pretty cool. So in order to match your Rubik's Cube, we did about 35 moves. We're going to do 35 in reverse. But can you please hold the blindfold over your eyes?
Okay, hold it.
How many fingers am I holding up? Take a guess.
5.
Take a psychic. Oh my! How many now?
2.
Close enough. I'll take it back. So 30 in reverse right now. One-handed or two-handed?
One-handed.
Yeah.
When I say 3, can everyone say go for me?
Yes.
Okay.
1, 2, and 3.
Go.
Oh.
Go.
Oh, my fault. One-handed.
Oh. Is this... What are you... You're... Huh? Okay. This is... Wow.
No
okay.
way.
All right. What's going on? Oh.
Now, all the yellow should be forward, correct?
No.
No.
Ooh, do we have a cross or a line?
A line.
We have a
Vertical?
line.
We have
Vertical?
Yeah. Vertical.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, guys. Now, all the yellow should be facing forward.
No.
Except for 3. Let me finish.
Okay. Back off, Rucker.
Wow.
Yeah, okay.
Are we there?
No way.
Holy
Is
cow.
it like grooved or something? Can you feel?
No, you can feel it. It's a normal cube.
That's crazy.
Wow.
There's nothing on it that
That's
makes you
amazing.
know.
Not at all. It's just lots and lots of practice.
I always feel very unintelligent when I see people
Right,
with a
now,
Rubik's Cube.
we're going to try one more.
Okay.
Oh, boy.
So this is the hardest one. This has never been seen before, ever. We will try this out. We have the Rubik's Cube right here.
Right.
Have you ever solved a Rubik's Cube? Yes or
Never.
no? Never.
Never.
Okay,
None of
so
us
you're going
have.
to do it right now. And it seems a little bit impossible that you actually could solve it. So take a tiny step back for me.
Okay,
This
back.
way. Yep.
Okay.
I want you to turn the Rubik's Cube. Instead of turning it in front, I want you to take the Rubik's Cube, turn it behind your back like that. As many times, as slow, as fast as you want. So really important to step back here. Can you actually feel that Rubik's Cube behind your back?
Yes.
First, grab it for me.
Okay.
Can you start to turn that Rubik's Cube for me? Turn it as much as you want. Turn it slowly. Keep on turning it. Check it out. Is there any way in a million years, if you took out that Rubik's Cube, would that cube be solved?
No.
Keep on turning it slowly, even a little faster. I want you to stop.
I like seeing you
Very
like
carefully.
this.
I'm going to reach behind your back. I'm going to take that Rubik's Cube. I'm going to lift it up slowly above your head. Check this out right over there.
Oh, my
Look at that for me.
gosh.
Grab that out for me. Look at that. There you go.
Are you kidding me?
No.
How did you do that?
Holy cow.
No way.
Amazing.
You are, Al.
Wow, that's unbelievable. Stephen, that is so good.
Unbelievable,
Hey,
man.
and
That's
Stephen's not
amazing.
done yet.
That's
if you
amazing.
want to see
Thank
more
you.
tricks, head to our Today's Take Facebook page right now for a special Facebook Live. Watch him blow your mind. Hello, Today fans. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking that button down there and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives.
Prior to handing the spectator the cube, you may wish to give the cube a false shuffle or a false mix, and the false mix which I use just looks like this. And This, in effect, has actually done nothing. We're still actually set, ready to solve the cube one-handed. And there is nothing new here moves-wise, because you're actually going to be completing the same moves that are required to set the cube up and subsequently solve the cube one-handed. With the exception, you're actually going to be performing these moves with two hands. So the false mix, I'll use the solved position just to help clarify this. You're actually going to complete the first move, that is to bring the top two rows towards you with the first finger, but rather than use the third finger to bring the middle and leftmost rows towards us, what you're actually going to do is you're going to use the left hand to manually do that. You will then repeat that again. First finger, manually turn, and now you're going to orientate the cube so that the green row is at the bottom right, and you're going to repeat those moves again. First finger, manually turn, first finger, manually turn. So if we set up the cube in preparation for the effect, like so, we will first begin with the red row to the bottom right, and we will do this mixing procedure. Now orientate so that the green is there. Repeat those moves again, and now we're set ready. Even though it looks like we've mixed up the cube, we're actually still in the position to solve the cube like that. So we would say, generally when we look at Rubik's Cubes, we look at the various colour combinations and patterns, and we begin to make twists and turns, trying to make sense of them. But that's not what I want you to do. Instead, I want you to take the cube behind your back, and notice how we still have the green here. We're now ready to hand it to the spectator, and we're actually in the position ready to solve. So very simple to do, use moves you already know. I hope you enjoy that. The other thing which I should add is that you can actually repeat this mix as many times as you want, as long as you do it an equal number of times on each side. So that's a little tip and another nice little feature that you can add into the routine.
To begin with step 1, first find the yellow center on the Rubik's Cube. What you want to try to do is you want to try to place 4 middle white stickers around the yellow center. Those will go here, 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 and here. If you have corner stickers that are white, this is fine. Here's one. I'm going to place this next to the yellow center. Here's another one. Here's a third one. And here's my fourth one. It's down here. I'm going to turn it over here and up. Just play around with this and try to observe what happens to these white stickers as you turn the faces of the Rubik's Cube. Once you have this pattern, you're ready to move on to step 2. Now that you've completed step 1, you'll want to find one of these white stickers that you've just put next to the yellow center. This sticker here is white. The sticker next to it on the same piece, in my case, is blue. You want to turn this blue, you want to rotate this top until the blue matches to the blue center. Once you have a color match here, you turn this face twice. 1, 2. Notice when I turn this side, it's the blue center that's rotating. We repeat this again for the other 4 sides. We look here, here's a white sticker, this color is red. I'm going to rotate this top. When I rotate the top, it means the face that's parallel to the ceiling until this red matches to the red center. Now that this matches, I'm going to turn this red side twice. 1, 2. When you turn a face twice, it actually doesn't matter which way you turn it. I'm going to do this again. This is white, and the adjacent color here is green. Turn this top until the green matches to the green center, and then turn the green center twice. 1, 2. Finally, one more. This is white. The adjacent color is orange. I'm going to match it, and I'm going to turn it twice. And now you've completed step 2, and you should have a white cross on the bottom. Now that you've completed step 2, it's time to move on to step 3. The objective of step 3 is to make this entire white face one solid color, hopefully white. When doing this step, you want to have the yellow center up on top the entire time. What you're going to do now is you're going to look along this top, but along the sides that face you. What we're looking for white stickers that face you. Here's a white sticker that faces you. There are 2 colors on this corner piece. One is green and one is red. We want to look at the one that's also facing towards the side and not towards the ceiling. In this case, it's red. You're going to turn this top until this red diagonally matches with the red center. Here it diagonally matches. Now what you want to do is you want to turn. Now what you want to do is you want to. Now what you want to do is you want to see which side this white sticker is facing. Is it facing on the right or on the left? In our case, it's on the right. So what you're going to do is you're going to move this right side clockwise or up. You're going to turn this top this way, and you're going to move the right side back down. Now we're going to repeat this 3 more times. We're going to look around here on the top to see if there are any white stickers that face you. In this case, we actually don't have any white stickers that face you, but we're not done with the cube. But we have one that's facing up towards the ceiling. This is an exception, and we have to correct this. So what you're going to do is you're going to turn this top until this white sticker is directly over something that's not white. You're going to see if this is on the left or on the right. It's on the left. So I'm going to move this left side up, turn the top twice instead of once, and then left side back down. And now this white sticker is facing you. Now we do what we were doing before, and it should solve the first layer of the Rubik's Cube. This is white. This is green, but we want the orange one. Orange matches to the orange center. This white sticker is on the left. Left side up, top around this way, bring this white one towards you, and then left side back down. Here's another white sticker, red to red center, on the left, left side up, bring this white sticker towards you, left side back down. We have a white sticker here facing on top, positioned over something that's not white. It's on the left, up, top twice instead of just once, back down. And now this white sticker is facing you. This is blue to the blue side, on the left, up, over, down, and there's step 3. So now that you've done step 3, you've completed the first layer. What we're going to try to do now is solve these middle 4 pieces. You're going to look on top here, your yellow center is still on top, for pieces without a yellow sticker. This one does not have a yellow sticker. This is orange and green. We're looking for the color that faces you. In this case, it's green. So I'm going to turn this green until it matches to the green center. And now we have a match. You need to find out now which way it wants to go, either to the left or to the right. By doing that, to do that, you look at the top. Adjacent to this green sticker is orange. And we notice on the left side, the center is red, and on the right side, the center is orange. In order to put this thing into this slot, into the right, first, you turn this away from this slot. And now you're going to perform the move that was in step 3. It's in the right slot, so right side up, turn this towards you, back down. And now you see this white sticker is facing you. Do the same move you did in step 3. This is white, this is orange. Match the orange to the orange center. It's on the left now. Left side up, over, and back down. We repeat this process until the entire middle layer is done. So here's a piece, blue and red. Red, we want to turn until it matches the red center. Blue is on the left, so we turn it away from where it wants to go. Left slot, left side up, over, down. White sticker is now facing you. This is blue, turn to blue until it matches diagonally with the blue center. It's on the right side up, over, and back down. And we have one more left. This is blue. It's already matched, orange, on the left. Turn it away. Left side up because it wants to go here. Left side up, over, and down. And now, here's your white sticker. This is orange. Match the orange center. It's on the right side now. Right side up, over, and down. You should have completed step 4. Now that you've completed step 4, 2/3 of the cube is now completed. We now need to complete the last third of the cube. Flip the cube over so that the yellow center is still on top. And now what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to make a yellow cross on this side. Try to find 2 yellow middle stickers that are adjacent to each other. In this case, these 2. You want to put them in the 12 o'clock and 9 o'clock position. And then you're going to do the following move. Front clockwise, top clockwise, right clockwise, top counterclockwise, right side counterclockwise, and front counterclockwise. And now you should have a cross. If you don't have 2 yellow stickers that are adjacent to each other, perform that move until you do, and then put the 2 yellow stickers adjacent in the 12 o'clock and the 9 o'clock position, and when you do the move, you should have a cross. Now that you have completed step 4, 2/3 of the cube is now completed. We now need to complete the last third of the cube. Flip the cube over so that the yellow center is still on top. And now what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to make a yellow cross on this side. Try to find 2 yellow middle stickers that are adjacent to each other. In this case, these 2. You want to put them in the 12 o'clock and 9 o'clock position. and then you're going to do the following move. Front clockwise, top clockwise, right clockwise, top counterclockwise, right side counterclockwise, and front counterclockwise. And now you should have a cross. If you don't have two yellow stickers that are adjacent to each other, perform that move until you do, and then put the two yellow stickers adjacent in the 12 o'clock and the 9 o'clock position, and when you do the move, you should have a cross. Now that you've completed the yellow cross, it's time to move on to step 6. The goal in step 6 is to make this entire yellow side one yellow solid color. The first thing to notice is how many corners have yellow stickers. In this case, we have one corner with a yellow sticker in place. Your choices will either be 0, 1, or 2. If you have 4 stickers with yellow facing up on top, you're done. If you have 3, then someone's messing around with you. In this case, we have 1. So we want this one corner in this bottom left-hand corner, and we're going to perform the following move. Right side clockwise, top clockwise, right side counterclockwise, top clockwise, right side clockwise, top twice, right side counterclockwise. Now we look at the Rubik's Cube, and we see we again have one corner with yellow up on top. We want to put this in the bottom left, so that's here, and now we repeat this move. Right side up, top clockwise, right side counterclockwise, top clockwise, right side clockwise, top twice, right side counterclockwise. And now the top should all be solved. If you have 0 corners with yellow on top, you want a yellow sticker facing this way right here. If you have 2 corners with yellow on top, you want your yellow sticker facing here. And when you perform the same move, it will bring you to the case where you have one corner up on top. Now that you've completed step 6, it's time to move on to step 7. The goal here are 2 corners that have the same color on the same side. These 2 corners are not the same side, and neither are these 2. But these 2 are. Don't worry about the edges here, we worry about those in the final step. Take the 2 corners that have the same color and face them away from you. And now, to put all the corners in the right place, you can perform the following move. Right side counterclockwise, front clockwise, right side counterclockwise, back twice. It doesn't matter if you turn it twice, whether you go clockwise or counterclockwise. Right side clockwise, front counterclockwise, right side counterclockwise, back twice, right side twice, and now all the corners should be able to be lined up. Sometimes you won't have a pair of corners that match in color. If this is the case, just perform that algorithm and then you will have a pair of corners that matches. You've completed step 7 now, and we're on to the final step. Notice there are 3 edges here left to solve. Here, my red side is solid. I'm going to face the solid side away from me. This middle one here is green, and I'm going to notice that this green, the green side is on the left. The first move, I'm going to turn the front twice. Now I need to turn the top towards the direction that the green side is, which is here, this way. I'm going to move the left side down and the right side down, the front twice, the left side up, the right side up. I'm going to turn this the same way that I turned it on the second move with this algorithm. Then I'm going to turn the front twice, and you should be done. Half the time, you're going to have to turn the top the opposite way when this center edge sticker wants to go this way. In certain cases, you'll have 4 edges that are misplaced. If this is the case, perform the algorithm in step 8, and it will take you to the case where you have 3 edges which are misplaced. At that point, you should be able to solve the cube with the algorithm outlined in step 8. That's it. You've solved the Rubik's Cube. If you've got some time, I challenge you to come online and see if you can beat me. Good luck.
Okay, so from a technical standpoint, this routine couldn't be any easier to perform. Whilst this cube may look mixed, it is actually only 10 moves away from being solved. Now, during the routine itself, we're going to place the cube behind our back and we're going to carefully instruct the spectator how they are supposed to turn the cube. The cube will be handed to them, the spectator follows those actions. Halfway through the routine, we take the cube back from the spectator, display it to the audience still in its mixed state, and then as we go to hand it back to the spectator for a second time, we're actually going to solve the cube behind their back. Now it's important to bear in mind two things. First of all, we have a lot of cover for this. We have the spectator's full body acting as cover for this, and also the moves themselves, these 10 moves, are going to be performed at speed, one-handed. So let me just show you now what those moves would look like at full speed. So you can see we can very efficiently and quickly solve the cube. To prepare the cube in advance for this routine, we must first of all orientate the cube in the correct way. That is to have the blue side facing uppermost and the white side facing towards us. The easiest way to remember this is skies are blue, and the word white rhymes with the word right, so to get into the right position, the white side must face us and the skies must be blue above. Of course, just to show you, that would leave the orange to the left, the red to the right, the green to the bottom, and of course the yellow to the rear. We're now going to hold the cube between our thumb and first finger by its bottom right hand row. So the thumb will be positioned on the bottom right hand square, and the middle finger will hold the cube from behind by its opposing square, just like this. By holding the cube in this fashion, your first finger and your third fingers are free to complete the moves. Now we're going to perform a sequence of 5 moves. Now the sequence, each sequence is comprised of 2 individual moves. So you're going to, the first of those moves is to place your first finger behind the cube like this, and you're going to then bring that finger forward and turn the cube as you go. So you're actually twisting the cube. The top 2 rows get twisted towards you. So you can now see we have 2 rows of white on top of our row, 2 rows of red rather, above our row of white. Our third finger is now going to reach behind the cube, and it's going to bring the middle and leftmost columns towards us, just like that. And if you've done that right, you will now find that you have 2 columns of green. So those 2 moves are coupled together to perform a sequence. And if we repeat that sequence a further 4 more times, our cube will be prepared. So once again, the top 2 rows get brought towards us. The middle and left columns get brought up over. So that's the second sequence. Third sequence. Fourth sequence, and fifth sequence. So all we're doing is literally repeating those 2 moves, top 2 towards us, middle and left towards us. By repeating those 2 moves 5 times, we are now prepared and ready for the routine. This cube will genuinely look mixed from all angles, from all sides. The only discernible pattern being this unaltered row here. So we have a row of green and we also have the row of red. And it's this row which is going to give us our indicator or help us orientate the cube in the correct fashion, ready for the one-handed solve. So we're going to now we would illustrate how the spectator is supposed to turn the cube behind our back, hand it to them, the spectator carries through those actions, and then we comment whilst the spectator holds on to the belief that it's impossible for them to solve the cube. It will of course remain impossible for them to solve it. We now ask the spectator for the cube back, the spectator hands us the cube, and we will show that the cube is still very much mixed up. Now, as we're displaying this to the audience, what we're actually doing is we're looking for this unaltered row. And what we must do is we must position the green row towards the bottom right. So green indicates go. So if you see this green sequence on your right hand side, you're now going to take a hold of the cube in exactly the same way as you set it up. And if you repeat that same sequence of 5 moves again, the cube will be solved. So again, first finger brings the top 2 rows towards us. Third finger brings the middle and leftmost rows towards us. So that's one sequence. Repeat that again. Top 2 rows, middle and left rows is 2. Top 2, middle and left is 3. Top 2, middle and left is 4. Top 2, middle and left is 5, giving us a completely solved cube. So you will now understand that the sequences are very easy to learn because we've got this natural orientation, which we're going to remember. Sky's blue, white side facing us. We do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We now, when we want to solve the cube, we're going to look for this row of green and position it to the bottom right hand side. Take a hold of the cube in exactly the same way and repeat that exact same sequence of moves. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now of course these things, the more you practice, you can do these moves very, very quickly indeed. Of course, I would also recommend a speed cube for this to help things along. Now, of course, you mightn't want to perform all of those moves in one go. So instead, you may prefer to do the following. So let's just first of all set up the cube. So the cube is now set up in preparation for the routine. We would now bring a spectator up, hold the cube behind our back and illustrate how we wish for the spectator to turn the cube. Hand the cube to the spectator, allow them to do that. And now we go through the script for the routine and mention that whilst the spectator holds on to the belief it's impossible for them to solve the cube, that will always remain true. We ask for the cube back just to illustrate this point. We now display to the audience the fact that the cube is still mixed. And we orientate this green row to our bottom right. We take a hold of the cube, and what we're actually going to do now is we're going to continue with the script. However, because we've drawn attention away from the cube, we are now ready to actually perform one of those sequences in front of the spectator. So while no heat's on the cube, and as we're gesturing with the cube, we're actually going to perform one of the sequences. So one sequence, remember, is 2 moves. That's one with this finger and one with this finger. And this happens as we gesture with the cube. So as we turn the cube, as we rotate the wrist down, the first finger is going to complete this move. And then when we bring the wrist and straighten it back up again, the third finger is going to complete the second move. So I'm just going to show you what that looks like at speed. So here is where we would begin. And as we're talking to the spectators, and we say, whilst they hold on to that belief, there's no way that they're actually going to be able to solve the cube. And now we've completed one of those sequences. Now, it's important to note here that there is now some semblance of pattern existing on the cube itself. And that's why we always begin by completing 5 moves, 5 sequences rather than just the 4. So we, we've displayed the mix-up cube to the spectator, so we're now set in position. We're displaying the mixed up cube, and then as we are talking about the spectator's mindset, we're now going to complete one of the sequences. We're now going to take the cube behind the spectator's back, so this is now only 4 sequences away from being solved, and we're going to actually break up the 4 sequences into 2 halves. So to do this, we'll place the cube behind the spectator's back, and we will grab a hold of the wrist, and we will either ask the spectator to take a step forward or a step back. This is just to provide a little bit more time and a little bit more cover for the moves. So as we ask the spectator, just take a step forward for a moment. As the spectator goes to step forward, we're going to complete 2 sequences. So that's 1, 2. We can now ask the spectator to hold the hand out, and when the spectator holds the hand out, as we go to lower the cube onto the hand, we're going to complete the final 2 sequences. That's 1 and 2, just like that. So let us briefly recap. We set up the cube in preparation for the effect. Blue above, white towards us. We now hand them the cube after instructing them how to turn it. We take the cube back. We look for this row of green. As we're talking and talking about the spectator's mindset, we're going to complete one of those moves by rocking our wrist, or one of those sequences. We're now going to place the cube behind the spectator's back. We're going to usher them forward or backwards 1 step, and as they do that, we're going to obviously do 2 sequences, ask them to hold out the hand, and as we lower the cube, we complete those final moves, thus solving the cube in the spectator's hand. Okay, so first of all I wanted to say a big thank you for purchasing the solution. I trust that you have now read through the book and I hope that you're happy with the contents itself. I wanted to create this video for a couple of reasons. First of all, to give you an insight into how this routine was devised. I also wish to share with you a few insights into my own creative processes. I'm hoping that these may help you with your own creative ventures. I want to address a few of the questions that I've had subsequent to the release of this effect. And lastly, I want to share with you a few ideas that I've had along the way that didn't make it into my personal routine, but may actually work themselves into yours. Okay, so first of all, I want to briefly talk about the origins of the effect itself. Why did I bother creating a Rubik effect when there are many Rubik effects already on the market? And the answer is very simple. I'm heavily interested in puzzles in general. So outside of my interest in magic or mentalism, I'm just fascinated by puzzles. I collect puzzles. I love wooden puzzles, metal puzzles, lateral thinking puzzles, crossword puzzles. Riddles, anything of a puzzlist nature. For the simple reason that I find that the more puzzles I solve, the better I become at problem solving in general. And when we sort of think about creativity and creating magic effects, we often begin with a clear idea of how the effect is supposed to look in the spectator's minds. And that in essence is a problem. We have this problem, now we need to find the solution, and the solution is of course the method to that problem. And to find the solution, what we need to do is draw on past experiences and look at existing methodologies that are out there. So these processes have got a lot in common with solving puzzles themselves, because obviously with a Rubik's Cube we always have this clear idea of how this thing is supposed to look at the end, and when we sort of consider maybe metal puzzles, there's a sort of common thread that runs through the solutions to these things. A lot of the ways that these metal puzzles are solved are very similar. The sort of techniques used are similar. The same is true of the sort of ring and string puzzles. A lot of them have a sort of a common trend that we can, so the more of these things that we solve, we say, this is similar to the last one, and then all of a sudden we become faster at finding the solutions to these things. So with regards to mentalism or magic problems that we set ourselves, we will often draw from other effects to create the solutions to the problems that we set ourselves. So with regards to the solution itself, i.e. the effect, I knew I wanted to create a Rubik effect. So that was first and foremost set in my mind. I want to create my own Rubik effect. Now, I purchased Cube 3, I purchased Rubicon, I purchased the Cube, I purchased Cube Effects, I purchased Rubik Remembered. I've purchased all of these, not necessarily because I wanted to perform these effects, just because I had an interest in how these things work, because all of these things were various methodologies that I could draw from and perhaps use to actually create my own routine. And I was having a discussion with Mark Elston, and Mark suggests that if you ever perform an effect with a cube, ultimately the spectator just wants to see that thing solved at the very end, and I tend to agree with him. So now I started formulating an idea in my mind of how this thing was going to end. I was going to end up with a solved cube. Okay, so now I had an ending, but how was I going to get there? What place did the cube physically have? And most of the effects that I create have a common thread going through them. I like to make the spectator the star. I like the spectator to take the limelight. I like the spectators to be the one who makes the effect happen. So I very much am a huge believer that the magic or the mentalism should always happen in their hands, or indeed in their minds. So I thought, okay, I want this cube to be solved in the spectator's hand. So drawn from sort of past experience and effects that I had already purchased, I took a closer look at an idea from Stephen Brundage, where he takes a mixed up cube, he pops it in a brown bag, he shows it's still mixed, snaps his fingers, reaches inside, he brings it out, and the cube solved. And it's a fantastic thing to watch, especially for the first time if you don't understand how it's achieved. It's an amazing thing to watch. So what I thought is, okay, what I could perhaps do is I could replace the bag with the spectator's hand. So I could now show a mixed up cube, place it in the spectator's hand, and instantly have the cube now solved. But for me, that was a little bit too magic-y, so I wanted the spectator to be the one who seemingly solved this cube somehow. So what I did was I drew on my sort of past experience of sort of linguistic effects, and I thought, okay, we could perhaps use language and perhaps dual reality to cover up the spectator is seemingly mixing up the cube or unscrambling the cube to solve it, whereas, you know, they're doing nothing, because let's face it, when we give the spectator a solved cube, they can't mix it up in any way. And so I had instantly came up with a solution to my own problem, but in many respects I'd create another, because I started performing this, and a lot of friends of mine were asking if I was going to release it. But of course, these methodologies that I was employing, certainly with regards to the way that I was actually solving the cube in the spectator's hands, this wasn't mine to give away. So the actual technique that I originally used was Stephen Brundage's. I then subsequently found out that Stephen Brundage had sort of slightly altered an idea of Takamiz Usui. I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly. So I then obviously looked into his methodology, and I thought, okay, if I am actually going to release this effect at any point, then I ultimately need to come up with my own solution to the sort of one-handed solve technique, and I need to also come up with my own false mix. And as a result of putting all of these things together, the solution was created. And once again, I hope that you're happy with your purchase, and I hope that you have good fun with it. Okay, so I'd just like to take a few moments to explain a few answers to certain questions that I've been asked with regards to this effect. One of the questions that I'm asked is, what happens if the spectators talk afterwards? And the truth of the matter is, I'm not fazed by this in the slightest. If you're working for a larger audience, then the vast majority of people are going to walk away believing that you handed a mixed up cube to a spectator, changed their mindset, and as a result of that, they were seemingly able to solve the cube behind their back. That is the ideal effect as I want to paint in their minds. It's only going to be a smaller pocket of people who are possibly going to walk away with a different interpretation of events. But nonetheless, their interpretation of events are still impossible, because let's face it, the spectator can't explain, even if he does explain the fact that he didn't physically manipulate the cube in any way, this doesn't explain how the cube solved in their hands. And the important thing to mention here is I really highlight the importance of the script and the message that I'm trying to deliver, because for me personally, the message is more important than the effect itself. I want people to generally walk away and think about things in a more positive way. I want people to have a more positive outcome or outlook on life. And that is my primary goal. I'm going to entertain them along the way, but overall, I want them to walk away with a message, some sort of learning, something that may actually benefit them in their lives in general. Now, in a more close-up environment, which is where I tend to perform this most often, you're going to find that if the question is going to happen, the question is going to happen literally just after the spectator reveals the solved cube, and they're standing in amazement, shocked themselves at the fact that this cube has somehow been solved whilst it's in their possession. It's at this moment that people ask, how on earth did you do that, or something to that effect. And at this point, there's generally one of two things will happen. The spectator will either take full ownership for the solving and say, oh, you know, something I can't tell you, I'm just good, or they'll really sort of lap up the attention, or conversely, they'll say, I didn't do anything, or they'll perhaps go to explain the fact that they didn't do anything physical to the cube. And if I notice the latter happening, what you can do is you can now choose to step in and sort of defer the attention of the audience by suggesting that I think Joe here has just been very modest. How else, Joe, can you explain that it's solved in your hand? And now what we're doing is we're now posing Joe with another question, and that's a question that he can't answer. So because of the fact that this Joe or whoever you're performing for can't answer how the cube solved in their hands, they can't provide another solution to how it's solved other than the one that's already painted in the spectators' minds. So the fact that they're trying to search for answers and they can't give the answers very much helps to sort of verify the fact that the spectator must have physically mixed up the cube. But either way, you can either sort of defer the attention and say, well, if you didn't do anything, I've got no way of explaining how that cube solved in your hands. But that's not the important thing. The important thing is basically the message that I want you all to take away from this. I want you all to have a positive mindset with regards to any problems that you do experience in life. I want you to walk away from here treating all problems that exist in your life as though they were puzzles, because deep down you know that there's a solution to each and every one of them, and with just a little bit of positive thought that you will ultimately be able to overcome them. Let me offer you another illustration, and now what we do is perhaps move into a different effect. So what we do is we either stop the spectator in the tracks by openly putting it out. Well, how else would you explain that this thing's solved? Or we play up the message that we're trying to deliver, or we immediately move into a different effect, or we just let them discuss it. And if we just let them discuss it, you can now chime in just to basically help promote that the way that it's solved in the hand is even more miraculous than perhaps they even first thought, because he didn't do anything and it's still solved in the hands. And you could just ultimately wrap this all up and say, and that is the power of positive thinking. So never be bothered about the spectators talking, because ultimately at very worst, they're witnessing an amazing magic effect. But as I say, you've always got the lesson, and basically it's the illustration that you're trying to push forward, and you must sort of insist that the message is more important than what physically happened. So I hope that goes in some way to address any concerns that you may have over that, and I'm sure that when you actually start using this yourself, you will see that the effect itself isn't dampened in any way, shape or form, even if the spectators do talk. So here's another idea that you might like to incorporate within your close-up work. So if you're doing this in a close-up environment, the spectator will end in a position where they're holding the cube up, the rest of the audience or crowds applauding, they open their eyes, they get a shock, obviously, the fact that the cube is somehow solved in their hands. What you will then do is, before the other spectators get to question them in any way, you can help defer the situation a little bit further and also potentially secure yourself more work. The way you're going to do this is to actually bring out your business card. And what you're going to do is you're going to ask the spectator if they've got a phone with a camera on it. You're going to take that off them and you're going to ask them to hold your business card and hold the cube and smile. And what you're going to do is you're actually going to physically take a picture of them holding the solved cube and holding your business card. So this way, it might be weeks, months, or even years after the event, after they've uploaded the photograph to an album somewhere, or even printed out, and they'll have forgotten about it until such point in the future they rediscover this photograph, whether it's just themselves or whether a friend or family member discovers this photograph, and they'll quiz them. What's this one with a Rubik's Cube? Let me tell you about that. And now what they'll do is basically they'll sort of relive the moment and explain how wonderful a performer you are, and how you give them a cube and the cube somehow solved in their hand, or whether they have the false memory that they were given the cube and they solved the cube somehow behind the back. But nonetheless, they will sort of recount a tale, a miraculous tale of some sort. Now, they mightn't at this point necessarily remember your name, but that's why they're holding your business card, because the beauty about photographs, particularly digitally stored photographs, is you can actually zoom in. So who did you do that with? Who was the guy who helped you with the demonstration? And what they'll do is basically, if they zoom in, they'll be able to find your contact details on the business card that they're holding in the hand. So they may lose the business card itself, but they will be far more likely to treasure the memory of a photograph of them with a solved cube, and obviously your contact details in there. So it's a nice way, because obviously you're interrupting the possible questions that are going to come afterwards. It's just been finished, they open eyes, they're reacting, everybody's wanting to quiz them. Actually, just before we go any further, can I just borrow your phone for a moment? Here's a business card, can you just hold it just next to the cube? Okay, and now we take the picture. Okay, great. And actually, let's try something else. We'll take this, and now you know, it just gives you a nice little callback and an option to get more work from it, and obviously an extra little layer should you wish to obviously defer any questioning. So I hope that makes some sense to you. I hope you take advantage of that, and that's something which will actually transcend into other routines too. So you know, if you're doing an ESP demonstration, perhaps I always like to take my business card and perhaps even use some business cards in the effect, and I will leave one of my business cards on the table, and I will encourage the spectators to take a photograph of the matched up ESP pairs on the table, so that I can remember the event later on and retell the story to the friends. But lo and behold, your contact details are always in shot, so even if they don't keep a hold of your business card, they still have an avenue whereby they can contact you at some point down the line. So I hope you enjoy that, and there's more thoughts to come. Another question that I'm asked a lot is, what happens if the spectator genuinely mixes up the cube behind their back? Now, if I'm honest, when I first started performing this routine, I would perform it strictly as per the main routine in the book. And what I would do is I would have the cube, I would do the false mix, I would then solve the cube before I hand it to the spectator for the first time. This way, if the spectator started to make a manual turn, then I could stop them, and I could quickly take the cube from them, making sure the rest of the audience couldn't see it. And then what I would do is I would say, no, you probably find it easier if you held it at your fingertips and you turned the cube like this. My idea was to seemingly help the spectator to make it easier for them to hold the cube behind the back and to twist this thing. But I quickly found out that the most important thing is to choose the right spectator for this. So you want to look out for hearing aids. Is a big one. So you need to choose somebody who isn't too boisterous, somebody who's not going to try and really crave the attention. If anything, you perhaps want to choose somebody who's maybe just slightly more shy. The reason being is because obviously when you put them in the limelight, they're going to be very concerned about what it is that they're supposed to do. And they're going to listen to you very careful, because obviously they don't want to mess this up, and they're going to pay far more attention to the instructions that you actually give them. The other thing that you need to do is you need to make sure that your instructions are very, very clear. So when we have this thing set up, when we have this cube set up and we start explaining, generally when we try to solve a cube, we'll first look at the various colour combinations and patterns, and then what we do is we try and twist and turn the cube, just trying to make some sort of sense of it. But that is not what I want you to do. So you must be explicit in that. This is not what I want you to do. Instead, and this is going to sound strange, and this is going to sound strange. What's going to sound strange? That they're curious, what is going to sound strange about what it is that they've got to do? This is going to sound strange. I don't want you to mix it up like this. Instead, and this is going to sound strange, I want you to take it behind your back by your fingertips like this, and you're very explicit behind your back, and I want you to very slowly just begin to turn the cube just like this at your fingertips. Okay? Do you understand what you've got to do? The reason being is I don't want you to drop the cube, and I don't want you to mess this up. Okay? Do you understand what it is that you've got to do? They say yes. So I'm very open-handed, so I make sure that the spectator can see the cube very clearly, and I'm very, very deliberate on how I actually show them and how I demonstrate what it is that I want them to do. So by sort of controlling the spectator, by choosing the correct spectator, and by making sure that you're very explicit in how you want the spectator to actually turn the cube, you're not really going to get those problems. Now, that said, I know for a fact there is going to be a time where somebody just takes the cube and just totally messes it up. But what I want you to remember is if that ever does happen, and I'm always prepared for this, and this is what I'm going to do. Whenever I take my Rubik Cube out, I'm always carrying a blindfold with me. So put the blindfold in your pocket. You now basically talk about Rubik's Cube. Who thinks it's impossible for them to solve the cube by a show of hands? Who presently feels it's impossible for them to solve the cube? Okay, can you come up and help? Generally when we mix up the cube, we'll look at the color combinations and we try to solve it like this. That's not what I want you to do. I want you to take the cube and I want you to begin to turn the cube behind your back like that. Do you think you can do it? Yes. Okay, now we hand it to them. Now I step behind it and I watch what the spectator does. Now, if the spectator starts to make these manual turns, I will say that's great. Now make sure you really scramble and just mix up that cube as much as possible. But the important thing is that you keep that cube behind your back. The reason why it's behind your back is because I don't want to see the cube for any longer than 5 seconds. That'll become important in a moment. The reason being is I was very much like you, and when I was young I could never solve the cube at all. And what I had was this self-defeatist attitude, because I would openly say I can't solve the cube, and whilst I held on to that belief actually manifested itself in reality. And I found later in life that the only thing that prevented me from solving the cube was my own sort of mental block, my own mental attitude. And I discovered that if I started to change the way that I think, or the way that I thought about things, then all of a sudden I could influence the outcome. So as such, in a relatively short space of time, I've not only managed to be able to solve the cube, but I can also do that blindfolded, even though I've only looked at the cube for a few moments. Continue mixing and then just stop when you're ready. Okay, so now I'll bring the blindfold out. I'll put the blindfold on the top of my head, take the cube from them, I'll look at it for a few moments, put the blindfold down, and now I just perform Rubik Remembered. So this is still a mentalism based Rubik demonstration. So yes, it's not the effect that I wanted to perform, but bear in mind we've never explained to the spectator what is physically going to happen. We've never physically said to the spectator, you are going to be the one who solves the cube. And because we don't say that, yes, it's slightly insinuated, but it's never said in the open, we can just change the entire course of the routine. So we get one person up, they mix up the cube behind the back, we notice that they're genuinely doing that, we bring out the blindfold, we change the tact of the routine and the direction of the routine, we now take it from them, just look at it for a few seconds, put the blindfold on and solve it. Obviously, yes, you will need Rubik Remembered for that, but I've always got that at the back of my mind should I ever need it. But as I say, providing you're very explicit in your instructions to the spectator, you shouldn't encounter that. And in fact, I'm so confident that that isn't going to happen to me now, that I've sort of changed the routine and actually used the one of the bonus suggestions in the booklet. So I take the cube, the mixed up cube, I give it the false mix, and I give it to the spectator in the false mixed state, getting the spectator to turn the cube behind the back like that. I'll still watch to make sure that they are doing the job correctly. And then I discuss obviously the negative mindset that they've got, ask to show the cube once more. I show that it's still mixed up, and I say, and of course, whilst you hold on to this negative belief, the cube will always remain unsolved. But if we can begin to change your outlook on life and get you to think in a more positive way, let's see what happens now. I do the first step to the solve. I hand the spectator, I get the spectator to step forward, and as I do, I'm going to do the two moves, put your hands out, the other two moves, and now place it in the hand. So this only after the second time do I actually do the solve itself. So hopefully this will give you a bit more confidence in the routine. It's always nice to have a backup anyway with regards to, it doesn't matter what effect we do, it's always nice to have a backup for them. And above all else, you've just got to remember the spectators don't know where the routine's going. It's not like a film or a book where you've got the beginning, the middle and the end is already written and set in stone. With our routines and live performance, we can change the endings, we can ad-lib, and we can steer the routines in our own way at our discretion, and change them entirely at literally as we're in the process of doing them. So I strongly urge you to pick up a copy of Rubik Remembered and use that should you find yourself in a worst case scenario. Touch wood, I haven't ever had to resort to that, but I always have that safety net should that situation arise. Okay, so here's another idea that I haven't used myself, but it's a recent idea and I think it has a lot of merit. I haven't quite found a place for it within my own routine, but I want to share it with you because I'm sure one or two of you may get some use from it. So what you would do is you would begin by having somebody genuinely mix up the cube. So you would invite them up, they can mix up the cube as much as they want, whether it's close up or whether it's on stage. And what you would have is you would have a box or a bag which had another cube inside, but that cube is pre-solved. So you now say, by show of hands, who presently feels it's impossible for them to solve the cube? And by solve the cube, I don't mean by by peeling the stickers off or breaking the thing apart. So you now get the show of hands. And you're saying now, I must confess, I'm one of those people. When I was younger and first tried to solve the cube, I would peel the stickers off, I would break the cubes apart. And the other thing that I used to do is, because I had a brother who was good at solving the cube, when he wasn't looking, what I would do is I would actually take my mixed up cube and I would switch it for his solved one. So now what you do is you take the genuinely mixed up spectator's mixed up cube, you drop it inside the box or bag, and then openly showing this, and now you're going to bring the solved cube out. And you're going to say, just as an illustration, what I used to do is I used to swap my mixed up cube from my brother solved one, and what I used to do was just claim that I'd solved it myself. Now what you're going to do, as you say, but I'm not talking about anybody who cheated like that, so please genuinely keep your hand raised if you presently feel it's impossible for you to solve the cube. So now you've got a genuinely mixed up cube inside the bag or the box, and you've got a solved cube in your hand. Now what you're going to do is you're going to position the cube ready to get into the prepped position. Now what you're going to do is you're going to turn the bag or the box to face you, and what you're going to apparently do is you're apparently going to swap the solved cube for the spectator mixed one. But as your hand goes into the box to apparently swap the cubes, what you're going to do is one-handedly you're going to do the one-handed preparation. So you're going to go in with a solved cube and you're going to come out with the mixed one. Now, because and this will only work so long as it's evident that this bag or box will only hold 2 cubes. So you say, what I used to do when I was younger, I used to take the mixed up cube and I used to swap it for my brothers who was solved just like that. But I'm not talking about anybody who cheated like that. Keep your hand raised if you think it's impossible for you to solve the cube. Now what I do is basically go in with a solved cube, mix it in the bag, bring it back out in its mixed state. Now you can crumple the bag, or you can close the bag around the box around what's left, and it should be evident that there's only 1 cube left in there, or a bag's probably best because there would only be space for 1 cube left there. Now the spectator should believe that you've simply swapped the mixed up cube for a solved one, and then swap them back. That's basically the illustration or the picture that you want to paint in their minds. So the spectator should believe that the solved cube is actually in the bag, whereas what you've done is you've successfully swapped the mixed up cube for one which has been preset. And I think this is almost like the reverse of something which Stephen Brundage does, and it's almost the reverse of something like Takamis Usui does, but I think here it just provides a fantastic way of ringing in your cube into basically your state where it's set ready to be solved. Now of course you can bring them up and say, now remember before we had our Joe here mix up the cube manually like this. This isn't what I want you to do. Instead I want you to do something completely different, and this is going to sound strange, but what I'd like you to do is take the cube behind your back, and now you go into the motions. And I think this is just a nice way of you only have 2 cubes, 1 solved, 1 genuinely mixed, and then it's just a nice way of sort of ringing in your preset cube into the routine, but you're actually doing the setup real time in front of the spectators, as well as actually the solve in real time. So I hope that makes some sort of sense, and I hope you enjoyed that idea. As I am still looking for a place to incorporate that within my own routine, but if you perform stage, cabaret, parlour, you may have a place for that. So I hope you enjoy it.